Let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear, but you need to hear it if you're ever going to rise to the level you were designed for. Your pain has a purpose. See, we live in a world where people avoid pain like it's the plague. They numb it, they run from it, they try to ignore it. But what if I told you that pain was not the enemy, it was actually a gift? What if the very thing you're trying to escape is the thing that was sent to elevate you? I don't care what your background is. Maybe you grew up in poverty. Maybe you've been through heartbreak, betrayal, loss, abuse, sickness, or failure. Maybe life hit you so hard, you still feel the bruise. But I'm here to tell you something that might just change your life if you let it. Your pain is trying to wake you up to your potential. God doesn't allow pain to punish you. He allows pain to position you. You weren't meant to stay in the dirt. You were meant to grow through it. You see, most people want the promise, but they don't want the process. They want the victory without the valley. But God doesn't work like that. He doesn't develop you on the mountaintop. He trains you in the shadows and the secret places in the struggle. And that struggle, that pain you're going through isn't random. It's not pointless. It has purpose. It's not there to break you, it's there to build you. Let's take a look at nature. You can't get oil without crushing the olive. You can't get wine without pressing the grape. You can't get a diamond without pressure. So why do we think we're going to walk into greatness without ever being pressed, crushed, broken, or challenged? You want greatness, but greatness requires growth, and growth requires pain. And hear me, because this part is critical, pain is not permanent. It's a pass-through, not a parking place. But what you do with that pain determines what comes next. You can let it paralyze you, or you can let it propel you. You can let it make you bitter, or let it make you better. You can curse God for the pain, or you can thank him for the power it's producing inside you. I've seen too many people go through pain and stay stuck in it because they never recognized the purpose inside the process. They thought the pain meant God had left them, when in reality he was getting ready to elevate them. He wasn't ignoring them, he was investing in them. But you have to cooperate with that process. You have to trust that what you're going through is not in vain. So today I want you to shift your mindset. Stop asking why me and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? What can I build from this pain? Who can I serve because of this story? How can I let this season grow me instead of destroying me? Because if you can understand this one truth, that your pain has a purpose, you'll stop running from it and start rising through it. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. That right there will free somebody if you really hear it. Because we live in a world that treats pain like a life sentence, as if once you've been hurt, you're always going to be broken. As if once you've failed, you're forever a failure. But that's not how God works. That's not how purpose works. That's not how transformation happens. See, pain was never meant to define you. It was always meant to direct you. Think about it. When you touch something hot, your body doesn't shut down, it reacts. It pulls back. It learns to change its behavior. Why? Because pain is a signal. It's God's way of getting your attention. It's a divine alert system. It's the warning light on the dashboard of your soul saying, hey, don't ignore this. There's something I want you to notice. There's something I want you to shift. There's something I want you to become. The enemy wants you to believe your pain is a prison, that it's a punishment, that what you're going through is proof God has forgotten you, rejected you, or worse, cursed you. But I came to break that lie today. Pain is not punishment. It's preparation. God doesn't waste pain. If he allowed it, it's because he intends to use it not to destroy you, but to develop you. Let's talk spiritually for a moment. When God wanted to call Moses, he let him flee into the wilderness. When he wanted to elevate Joseph, he allowed him to be thrown into a pit and sold into slavery. When he wanted to raise up David, he let him be chased, hunted, and betrayed before he ever wore a crown. You think you're going through pain because God is punishing you? No. You're going through pain because he's preparing you for something bigger than what you prayed for. We often think the pain is the end, but God sees it as the beginning of transformation, the beginning of clarity, the beginning of movement, Pain shows up when something needs to change, when it's time to grow, when staying the same becomes more dangerous than stepping into the unknown. And here's the truth, your comfort zone is killing your calling. Pain comes to interrupt your complacency. Pain says, you've been settling too long. You've been living beneath your potential. You've been stuck in what's familiar when I created you for what's phenomenal. God will use pain to break what needs to be broken in order to rebuild what needs to be strong. He'll use it to reroute your steps, realign your focus, and reignite your faith. Some of you are praying for purpose, but you don't realize that purpose comes wrapped around pain. You want to walk in destiny, but you don't want to walk through the fire that forges it. And let me tell you, there is no purpose without pressing. There's no destiny without disruption. There is no testimony without a test. Pain isn't your sentence, it's your signal. A signal to move. A signal to grow. A signal to let go of what no longer serves you. A signal to level up. A signal to return to God, to get back in alignment with your calling. The world may try to define you by your pain, the divorced one, the bankrupt one, the ex-con, the brokenhearted, but God says, that's not who you are. That's just what I'm using to push you into who I created you to be. You've got to stop identifying with the pain and start interpreting the pain. You've got to ask, what is this trying to teach me? Because when you start interpreting pain correctly, it loses its power to paralyze you. You stop sitting in self-pity and you start stepping in authority. You stop blaming others and you start building something from the broken pieces. You stop feeling sorry for yourself and start fighting for your future. Listen, pain is temporary, but the purpose it produces can be eternal. Don't get stuck in what hurts you. Learn from it. Grow from it. Let it push you. Let it shape you. Let it redirect you. Your pain is the proof that you're still alive, that you still care, that you still have something in you worth fighting for. You're not sentenced to this struggle. You're being signaled to shift. So don't waste the pain. Don't curse it. Convert it. Let it refine you. Let it reveal you. Let it raise you. Because when you finally understand that your pain has a purpose, you won't see it as your enemy anymore. You'll see it as the fire that formed you, the pressure that produced you, and the signal that set you free. The seed must be buried to grow. That's not just a metaphor, that's a divine principle. And until you understand that truth, you'll keep cursing the dirt God is trying to use to develop you. You'll keep resenting the season that's actually preparing you. You'll keep running from the pressure that was designed to unlock your purpose. See, we admire the tree, but we forget about the process. We want the fruit, but we don't want the burial. But there is no growth without a grave. There is no harvest without hardship. There's no greatness without a grind. You can't rise until you've first been planted, and planting feels a lot like being buried. It's dark. It's lonely. It's quiet. It's confusing. And it feels like the end, but that's just the beginning. When a seed is buried in the soil, it has to go through a breaking before it ever goes through a blooming. That outer shell has to die. It has to crack open. And it's that very breaking that gives life to what's inside. Some of you are asking God to bless you, but he's trying to break you first. Because he knows that what's inside of you is greater than what's surrounding you. But he can't release it until you stop protecting your comfort and start embracing the process. We don't like that part. We don't like being pushed into unfamiliar territory. We don't like the pressure of being uncomfortable. But pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is proof that purpose is present. You were never meant to stay on the surface. You were created to go deep, to root yourself in discipline, in faith, in obedience, in vision. And the only way that happens is through seasons that feel like darkness, feel like loss, feel like everything is falling apart. But hear me, God doesn't bury you to end you. He plants you to multiply you. He allows the dirt not to destroy you, but to develop you. You thought they threw dirt on you because they were trying to cover you, but God used it to cover you for protection while he prepared you for elevation. You're not hidden because you're forgotten. You're hidden because you're being formed. And this is where most people give up, right here in the soil, right here in the darkness, because it doesn't look like anything is happening. You're praying, but you don't see results. You're sowing, but there's no harvest. You're pushing, but you don't see progress. And the enemy starts whispering lies like, this is pointless, you should quit. Nothing's changing. But can I tell you, roots grow before fruits show. Growth happens underground before it ever shows up above ground. Some of your greatest development is happening when nobody sees it. In the tears you cry at night, in the sacrifices you make in silence, in the prayers you pray when no one is watching. That's when the roots are getting stronger. That's when the character is being built. That's when the vision is being refined. That's when the foundation is being laid. Don't resent that soil, it's sacred. And let's be real, breaking hurts. Being pushed into the dirt hurts. Being left in the dark hurts. But that pain is producing something. That crushing is cultivating something. That isolation is incubating something. You've got resurrection power inside of you, but resurrection can't happen unless something dies first. And what needs to die is your fear, your pride, your ego, your addiction to approval, your fear of starting small, your need to be in control, your refusal to let go. Because once that outer shell cracks, once your will breaks open, what God planted inside of you can finally rise. And when it rises, it multiplies. The seed never becomes a tree just for itself. It becomes a tree that bears fruit for others. It provides shade. It provides sustenance. It becomes a blessing far beyond itself. And that's what your pain is preparing you for impact beyond your imagination. So don't curse the dirt. Don't fear the dark. Don't resist the breaking. That's not the end of your story. It's the start of your growth. What looks like burial is really becoming. What feels like loss is really launch. What feels like pain is really potential and progress. You're not being buried to die. You're being planted to rise. And when your time comes, and you won't just rise for you. You'll rise for everyone connected to your obedience, your faith, your endurance. The seed must be buried to grow. So embrace the dirt. Let it develop you. Because your harvest is on the other side of your breaking. Your mess becomes your message. That's not just a clever phrase, that's a divine revelation. Because the very thing you're ashamed of, the very chapter of your life you've been trying to tear out and hide, is the same chapter God wants to highlight, use, and turn into your platform. But here's the catch. It can't become a message if you keep pretending it didn't happen. We all love a good testimony, but nobody wants the test. We want the anointing, but we don't want the adversity. We want influence, but we resist the inner healing. But hear me loud and clear, God does his greatest work in your weakest moments. Not when you're polished, perfect, and performing, but when you're raw, real, and ready to surrender. The most powerful people on this earth aren't the ones who avoided pain. They're the ones who survived it and allowed God to transform it. They're the ones who got knocked down but didn't stay down. They're the ones who looked their shame in the face and said, you will not silence me. You will not define me. I'm not hiding anymore, I'm healing. I'm not shrinking anymore, I'm standing. See, your mess doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you. It makes you relatable. It makes you real. And in a world that's drowning in filters, success stories, and highlight reels, what people are desperately hungry for is someone bold enough to tell the truth. Someone who can say, I've been through it, I've been broken. I've been betrayed. I've doubted God, I've made mistakes. But I'm still here. And if God can bring me through that, he can bring you through this. Do you understand how much power is in that? Do you realize that what you went through wasn't just about you? Your deliverance is somebody else's direction. Your survival is somebody else's strategy. The enemy didn't attack you just to destroy you. He attacked you because he knew if you ever broke through, you'd become a threat to hell. He knew that if your voice ever got free, your story would set other people free too. That's why the shame hit you so hard. That's why the depression lingered. That's why the fear kept circling. Because the enemy knows if you ever own your story, you become unstoppable. If you ever stop running from your past and start speaking from it, people will get healed, chains will break, and lives will change. So I dare you to stop hiding. I dare you to stop apologizing for what you went through. Stop editing your life to look more acceptable and start telling it how it really was, because authenticity is where the anointing flows. God doesn't bless who you pretend to be. He blesses who you're willing to become after the breaking. And don't think for a second that your story is too messy to be used. Moses was a murderer. Rahab was a prostitute. David was an adulterer. Paul persecuted Christians. And guess what? God used all of them not despite their past, but because of it. Because their mess gave him something to work with, something to redeem, something to transform. Your pain has preaching power. Your scars carry strategy. Your rock bottom moment is the solid ground God will build your legacy on. But you have to shift how you see it. Stop looking at your past as something to be ashamed of and start seeing it as the platform you've been praying for. The world doesn't need another perfect image. It needs real people with real stories who serve a real God. Don't let what you've been through go to waste. Don't sit on the gold God gave you in the dirt. That moment when you thought it was over. That's the moment people need to hear. That addiction you overcame. Somebody's still battling that demon today. That heartbreak you healed from. Someone's still bleeding in silence. You've got what they need if you're willing to speak. So take your mess, hand it to God. Let him breathe on it. Let him sanctify it. Let him send it back into the world as a message of hope, healing, and purpose. Because every time you speak from your scars, you snatch somebody else out of their suffering. And in the end, that's what legacy is, not what you achieved, but who you helped. Your mess is your message, and that message is a miracle in motion. Purpose requires pressure. You don't get to walk in greatness without going through the grind. You don't get to shine like a diamond without surviving some heat. And that pressure you're feeling right now, that weight on your chest, that heaviness in your spirit, that intensity in your circumstances, it's not a sign you're being destroyed. It's a sign you're being developed. Let me tell you something the world doesn't like to say out loud, pressure is holy. Pressure is not the enemy of your purpose, it's the evidence of it. It's the shaping hand of God molding you, squeezing out the fear, crushing the ego, and forging the character it takes to handle the very thing you've been praying for. We want the purpose, but we resist the pressure. We want the blessing, but we don't want the burden that comes with becoming the person who can carry it. We say, God, use me. But when the pressing starts, when things get tight, when the money dries up, when the relationships fall apart, when the business hits a wall, we start questioning the process. But let me remind you, diamonds don't form in comfort, they form in pressure. Deep below the earth's surface, carbon gets pressed, crushed, and heated beyond recognition. But it's in that place where no one sees, no one claps, no one understands that something beautiful is being made. It doesn't look like purpose at first. It looks like pain. It looks like rejection. It looks like closed doors and silent nights and unanswered prayers. But that pressure isn't punishment, it's preparation. See, God is too wise to elevate someone who hasn't been tested. If your purpose is weighty, your preparation will be heavy. If the calling on your life is great, the crushing will be deep. And the pressure isn't just about what you're becoming, it's about what God is removing. The pressure will force you to let go of pride. It'll force you to develop discipline. It'll teach you how to trust him when nothing makes sense. It'll stretch your faith and sharpen your vision. It'll pull greatness out of you you didn't even know was there. And don't you dare think that what you're feeling right now means you're failing. Pressure isn't proof of failure. It's proof of formation. God is forming something solid in you, something that won't crack when critics come, something that won't fold when the spotlight hits, something that won't shatter under the weight of responsibility. Look at any world changer, any trailblazer, any kingdom leader, you'll find pressure behind the scenes. Let me make it plain. You're not being crushed, you're being crafted. God is applying just the right amount of pressure in just the right places to bring out just the right results. He's not trying to destroy you. He's trying to distill your purpose. He's making sure that when you get to where he's taking you, you won't just arrive, you'll thrive. You won't break, you'll bless. But here's the key, you have to stay in the process. Don't bail when it gets tight. Don't run when it gets hard. Don't tap out because it feels uncomfortable. Diamonds don't have the option to leave the pressure chamber, and neither do you, if you're serious about walking in what you were born for. So stop cursing the pressure. Stop asking God to take it away and start asking him what he wants to build through it. Because the same pressure that feels like it's breaking you now is going to be the very thing that launches you later. When you come out of this, you won't just shine, you'll reflect the glory of God. You'll walk different, talk different, live different, because pressure shaped you into someone you could never become without it. Remember this: the greater the pressure, the greater the potential, and your purpose is too powerful to come easy. So embrace the squeeze. Let the shaping happen. Because when it's done, you won't just survive, you'll sparkle. Purpose requires pressure, but pressure produces power. And you were made for both. God never wastes pain. Not a tear, not a sleepless night, not a heartbreak, not a betrayal, none of it is wasted. If you give it to him, he will use it. If you surrender it, he will shape it. If you stop running from it, he will redeem it. But hear me, God can't use pain you're still bitter about. He can't elevate you if you're still blaming everybody else. And he can't promote someone who gives up before the process is complete. You've got to make a decision. Either your pain becomes your platform or your pain becomes your prison. One leads to purpose, the other to paralysis. And God is trying to take everything you've been through, yes, even the worst parts, and use it to build a future you never imagined. But if you keep holding on to resentment, if you keep rehearsing who hurt you, if you keep playing the victim, you will miss the power inside your own story. See, pain is never random in the hands of God. He's too intentional for that. You think it just happened to, but God's been planning how to work it for your good since the beginning. That broken home, that trauma, that divorce, that job loss, that season when you didn't know how you'd make it through. It wasn't for nothing. God has been building something in you that comfort never could. Let's be honest, some of your most powerful lessons didn't come from winning. They came from losing, from failing, from being disappointed. That's when you found your grit. That's when you discovered your real friends. That's when you stopped relying on people and started trusting God. That's when you stopped asking, why me? And started asking, what now? But here's where most people get stuck. They confuse pain with punishment. They think God must be mad at me. I must mess up. This must be payback. No, friend, this is preparation. God isn't punishing you. He's positioning you. He's developing the kind of endurance, faith, and strength that can't be taught in a classroom. It can only be birthed in the fire. And you've got to choose how you come out of that fire. Some people come out bitter. Some come out better. Some come out with a story. Others come out with scars and silence. But it's not the fire that decides the outcome. It's how you respond to it. You can waste your pain if you let it harden your heart. You can waste your pain if you keep pointing fingers and never take responsibility for how you grow. You can waste your pain if you choose to give up and call it God's will instead of staying in the fight and learning what he's trying to teach you. Don't waste what you went through. Don't let the enemy win twice. He already hit you with pain. Don't let him rob you of the purpose that pain was meant to produce. Every storm has a seed of elevation in it. Every valley has a treasure buried in the dirt. Every wound carries wisdom, but only if you don't quit. God doesn't waste pain, but we do when we disconnect from purpose. Your pain doesn't have to define you, but it can refine you. It can make you more compassionate, more focused, more resilient, more anointed. If you let it, you're not reading this by accident. God's trying to tell you, I saw what they did to you. I saw what you lost. I know what it cost you. And I'm not done. I'm going to use it. I'm going to redeem it. I'm going to raise you up because of it, not in spite of it. But first you have to release the bitterness. You have to stop asking why and start declaring watch. Watch what God does with a surrendered heart. Watch how he takes the ashes and makes beauty. Watch how he takes the breakdown and turns it into a breakthrough. Your pain has a purpose. Your past has value. And your story isn't over. God never wastes pain, and neither should you.